to the Entrepreneurial CPA show. Coming to you still live through COVID-19. That knowledge you need to break free of the box and punch above your weight, as always. I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA channel co-host, filling in, making up for the other half, Dr. Sean, who's locked down in New Jersey. So as I said before, we're going to Amanda Street. We're going to the Twitter sensation, straight out of Austin, Texas. He's got the Longhorn shirt on, representing Brian Strag, Calhoun Thomas Matza, live CPA. Brian, how's life in Austin?
Austin is really good right now. I mean, considering we're stuck inside, it's beautiful out there. So
it looks pretty. It looks pretty outside.
It does, and I'm lucky enough to live close by to all the parks and trails, so I try to sneak away every once in a while.
Now, you spend a lot of time in Breckenridge as well as Austin.
That is correct, yes.
Are you going back and forth right now, or are you staying truly locked down?
We're staying truly locked down.
Okay.
Breckenridge still has a kind of a restriction against anybody that doesn't live there full time. They don't want you there. For a while, they were saying, even if it's your second home, if this isn't your permanent residence, don't come. And I think they've just recently relaxed that, but they're like, you can't rent out condos anymore, like those short-term rentals or anything. Hotels are still closed, and they just don't want people there because the facilities really aren't geared to handle an explosion of a COVID-19 type disease.
No, that makes sense. It's small, remote communities, probably beautiful. All right, so back to the real world, the working world. You know, a lot of times on the show we talk about the future of the profession, being virtual, working remotely, all those great things. But now you guys went through this transformation overnight. You didn't plan to work remotely. You didn't plan to be 100% virtual. You were just on site and then virtual in an instant. And I'd love to hear more from you. What was that shift like, being just forced in there like never before? What did you learn through it? What was the experiences? And what's some of your takeaways on how the firm's going to change long term?
Well, you know, I will say the first thing is I got kind of in the habit of working remotely so that I could work up in Breckenridge. But that was only 2 or 3 weeks at a time type, and 3 if I was lucky, usually just a couple weeks. So it was pretty simple, you know, kind of set up, just a skeleton of what you really need to work remotely all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember or saw, but last January, I tore my rotator cuff, had to have surgery. And so after the surgery, I started working from home. So I've been virtual for the last year. It worked out for me. And so we've had it in place in terms of doing Zoom conference meetings and doing, you know, just different kind of technology was tweaked enough to do it. But the staff wasn't used to working, and they were used to me coming in at least once or twice a week. So that was the biggest thing. Was we sent them all home on March 13th, that Friday before the March 16th deadline, and said, take anything you need so you don't have to come back up to the office. So, I mean, they took their monitors, and they all had laptops, but they were like, if I'm gonna work from home, I want my monitors. I'm like, okay, we'll take that, take your docking station, take your keyboard and your mouse.
God.
And
so you just pick up everything and just like, so the office must look pretty crazy right now.
You know, it does. I was up there on Monday. I had to print out a big consolidated tax return, and my printer at home wouldn't support that. So, you know, that's one of those things you kind of we've tried to work around, is let everybody know when they're going to be up there, and so we make it nobody overlaps. And now, I've got to ask, did you have to paper file that return? Yeah, because no, this one actually will be electronic now. There was a glitch. It's a brand new client to us that we were having some diagnostic issues getting the e-file to clear. But my biggest thing was it was just too big to review with the consolidation on screen. Okay. It was just too much. I needed to be able to handwrite check marks and highlight some things and kind of see 3 or 4 pages at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the paper. You gotta like just embrace it.
Yeah. I mean, most of the things I can do without paper these days. I've got 3 monitors. I can make do, but every once in a while, when you need to like follow one number from a statement all the way through. You like trying to go through a PDF is just too impossible.
Do you ever just like cuddle the paper, just like throw it on your bed and just like just roll around in that 400-page consolidated return?
You know, luckily I've got a dog that would prevent that from happening.
Okay.
He would go to town on it.
Okay. He'd tear that thing up first.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Document destruction. All right. So
Yeah.
you go back there a little bit. How'd the staff deal with just the implosion?
Yeah, they actually, I think, are now adjusting to it. It took them a while. They were on the phone back and forth between each other and calling me and using, Zoom and trying to figure out things. And I think they finally started to get comfortable that it's working. They've gotten through some projects that they're like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. They were very paper centric in terms of, printing out tons of, even though we are paperless and, but, it takes a while to force yourself to get to that mindset that you don't need that paper just to have it.
I mean, I'm chuckling here because I went through the same thing when I started working paperlessly, probably, God, many, many years ago, over 10 years ago now. We're like, yeah, there's, at first, okay, you do more and more things, and there's still like a few things you do on paper, and now it's this like paper. I don't even know how to review a consolidated return on paper anymore. Like it just like that makes my head explode, being like, shit, how do I have to print it out, and then I'm gonna like get a pen, and I'm gonna like, what am I'm gonna like? It's funny how much it shifts over time. Like you go from this like I can't do it paperlessly to now like on the opposite side, like no, I don't even remember how to do it in paper. Like I'd probably like miss everything wrong with that return. But you learn and you adapt and you adjust your process and your flow and your cycle for it all.
Yeah, and I think you also have to account for like that lack of direct personal interaction. The Zoom helps a lot, and so we've gone to having like 2 set meetings a week just to kind of go over what everybody's working on, what's their goal for the next couple of days, how much progress did we make off of the last meeting type thing, just to kind of help alleviate some of that anxiety, because they don't hear that, normally you kind of overhear other people talking about what they're working on, and maybe when they finish, they're going to pass it off to you to do the next step, and you don't have that just because they're right there anymore.
Yeah, so I learned myself doing that, and I teach other firms. Like now, it becomes like if you're that manager position and you're used to checking with people, like you just need to call them once a day. Like you just need to call them at 9:30 or whatever time randomly and just say, "Hey, Bob, how's it going? Like, what are you working on? Any questions?" And they're always like, "Oh my God, yes." And then you're gonna spend an hour on the phone. But it's that you're replacing that just casual walk around time with a more deliberate like check-in time.
And that's what kind of like we've used Slack a lot for that kind of thing. I mean, it's constantly going off all day, and between me and mostly direct stuff. We've got the group things that people kind of post things to, but it's more like that direct kind of back and forth type thing. And then we use the Zoom to get everybody their cameras on, and just, I mean, in the first 15 minutes, it's just, the chit chat and catching up on what everybody's been up to and what movies they're watching, what food everybody's cooking, that type of thing.
Yeah. What's been the biggest surprise as you were just forced remotely?
It actually worked in terms of there was no implosion of somebody breaking down or anything. In fact, our office manager and I were talking, it was just a couple weeks after it, that, when our lease is up, we're really going to evaluate, do we need the footprint in office space anymore, or can we go to a reduced size and just have people in on the things that need to be done in person, but stay more remote, in more of a virtual office.
It's like one of my favorite firms, Summit CPA in Indiana. They've got what they call their $200,000 fishbowl, because they shut the office down and remodel it. And part of the remodeling was, a fancy fish tank in the lobby. But same thing. It took like 3 weeks to remodel it. And at the end of 3 weeks, everyone's like, I don't want to go back. And now they've got the waiting room. One partner's there with the fish tank, and like that's it. Once you kind of are forced out. So what do you think with that? That was my last question. Do you think you'll go back to a 100% physical on-site firm, or do you think this is going to be a lasting change for your firms? And ultimately, should this be a lasting change for everybody else out there as well?
I think it's going to be lasting for, at least for my firm. Traffic in Austin is bad. It's hard to get around. So, that stress, I mean, even the staff are like, this is really nice, but they realize they can get their work done. And so, yeah, maybe we need a small office with a conference room for meetings that can't be done virtually. But for the most part, I think we're going to stay that way. And I think everybody that has a successful kind of experience like that is going to be making that same kind of logical conclusion.
I hope so. I hope it's going to push firms, like you said, you're forced to do this. You're going to realize, okay, this is actually easy to do. It works. I save the commute. We all enjoy this. It's going to then save us money. I'm not going back to the way things used to be.
I think it's going to be one of those things that is going to stick around. I hope it does.
Yeah. Use this disruption to push yourself forward and your firm forward.
Yeah. I mean, is it perfect right out of the box? No, but you learn and you figure things out.
Well, that's the thing. You got through the hardest part of just doing it and learning those first 30 days, like what works and what didn't. That's the hardest part of any change. You already did it.
Yeah.
Don't go back. So that's the biggest takeaway from this episode. What it's like to be pushed remote overnight, not being ready for it. It actually works. You're going to like it. And don't go back.
Exactly.
Great tips from the Entrepreneurial CPA Show with our special guest co-host, straight out of Austin, Texas. Dr. Sean's not going to like that. He's very East Coast centric, but it's okay. We're broadening our horizons in the time of COVID. So if you want to follow up more about Brian, follow him on Twitter, big on Twitter. And as always, you can subscribe to the Entrepreneurial CPA channel, YouTube, click up there. And we challenge you today. Take steps to change this world. Maybe for you, that means working remotely, and invest in yourself every day.